Oh, my hearties, a very good evening to you. It is me, Scottie McClue. I'm alive on YouTube just for you tonight. Nothing gets past me, you know. I can tell you that for nothing. Lovely to have you with us Saturday, the 25th of July. My goodness me, we went into lockdown on the 20th of March, and here we are on the 25th of July. What is this like, guys? Lovely, lovely to be with you. I've just been on Facebook Live talking to all the Facebookers, and I hope they'll come and join us here tonight. That would be fantastic. So there we are. We can let them know. And in fact, what I'll do, I've just had a wee think. I'll put that I'm live on Facebook now, and they can come and join us. If you can all do the same. Live on YouTube. Now, there we are. Fantastic. Live on YouTube now. And I'll put in the URL, www.youtube.com. And there we go. / user / Scottie McClue 1. There we go. Wonderful. So live on YouTube now, www.youtube.com for you. Right, there we are. That's gone up there. And hopefully people will come and join us. I say that would be rather nice. Right, so they've got that now, and they can come and join us now. Who have we got tonight? Hello, says Ronald Villas. I'm first for a change. You are, Ronald. Well done. Karen Thompson says, all right, Bob, I've found, all right, good friend of yours back in the day, Big Mappy. Karen Thompson, say hi to Big Mappy. Hi, says Graham Niven. Hi, Graham. Where is he, says Graham? He's here. Dinky-Doo, Scottie, what's been for tea, O Lee Howson? Corned beef tonight. Very nice, corned beef. Good evening, Scottie. Dinky-Doo, says the wonderful Craig Cochran. Welcome, welcome, Craig. J-Dog, Dinky-Doo, Scottie, how are you? Can I Skype you? I want to pass something on to you. Yes, you can. Who's tapped the dollar? So there we go. Share before it started and liked. Wonderful. Catherine Raven, Dinky-Doo. And good evening, says John Currett. Here we are, all the lads. Well done, Tam. Hi, all, says Lorraine. Tam, everybody was trying to get a hold of you on YouTube there. There we go, on Facebook. Can we do some sharing, Lorraine? Yes, Finlay, let's get sharing early doors. In fact, what I'll do, if that's all right, is I'll just make a wee copy of that, and we'll start sharing early doors. We like that. Well done, Finlay. You're spot on. Finlay Morris is the man. Well organized, I say. Has everybody liked? There we are. Everybody saying good evening. Good evening, Scottie, says the wonderful Glenn Peacock in Sheffield. Good evening, everybody. I hope you're well. I hope you're well, Scottie. Catherine Raven, yes. Lovely to have you with us. Oh, there's a bit of noise there.
Every night at 8 p.m.
Every night, 8 p.m. We've heard that, McClue. Shouting and bawling there. Fish supper tonight, lovely, says the wonderful David Taylor. Good man. Get J-Dog on the Skype, says Graham. We will do, we will do. Set up your Skype. Yes, I will do, J-Dog. I'll see. In fact, I don't know if it's been plugged in. There might not be any juice in it. There's 32% on the Skype. We need to get that. It might not take it, J-Dog, but we'll see. We can always see how it goes. I say I'm a great one for seeing how things go. Have I got? Yes, that's plugged in there. I'll see if I can plug this in, J-Dog. We might get a wee bit juice, just enough to get you going. There we are, a wee bit of juice for the Skype, for the wonderful J-Dog. There we go. We'll see what's happening here. What a palaver. There we go. I wasn't expecting any Skypers tonight, you see. So we're not set up from that point of view. That doesn't mean we can't get set up. Right, so there's a bit of juice. And let me just see what's happening on the Skype itself. There we are. It says it collected to a low-powered charge. There we are. 2 seasons nearly passed already. Hi, Scottie. Wonderful stuff. Good evening, says everybody. Everybody's saying good evening. Corned beef's nice, Scottie. Hope you had onion and some tomato sauce if it was a sandwich. Ah, Lee Howson. What finely sliced onion with the corned beef. I'll tell you what I like with the corned beef. A wee bit of cabbage or cauliflower and white sauce. Does anybody drink the cabbage water? No politics, David, says Finlay. Dinky-Doo, Scotty, do you think we'll ever get back to not wearing masks? Strange days, very strange days, Scott. Good evening, sir, says the wonderful Neil O'Gormley. Where's Kareem? Kareem is in the bath in Cumbria, and he will join us as soon as he can. He's having a long soak. He's had a busy day. I would imagine he's been walking the dogs. So there we are. He spoke to me. I've been half an hour on Facebook having a chat to everybody. How are we, Glenn? Is the Skype set up? Not yet. No. Not yet. The Skype's been neglected. I've only got 31% now. I don't know. We might make it though, J-Dog. We'll give it a try. Because there's never a problem if we don't. Evening, Kareem, says David Taylor. Evening from Kirkcaldy. Hope everybody's happy and healthy, says the wonderful Scott Herd. Absolutely, Scott. Dinky-Doo. I'm good, says everybody. Hold your horses, J-Dog. You'll get your turn. Evening, sir, says Anthony. Good evening, Anthony. I wouldn't know about the Facebook stream and blocked you. Thomas. Yes, you must have said something dodgy, which wasn't true. So there you are. You need to be awfully careful about that. See, it doesn't matter. You were argy-bargying with me, and you shouldn't really do that because McClue knows. I've got to remember I've been television and radio news for 36 years. And if you say something about somebody, no matter what it's on, supposing you whispered it out the window, if somebody reported that and that got back to the person, then that's big trouble. So there you are. So you've just got to be careful, but you're going, nobody's going to be watching that. The fact is it's down in black and white, and that's where you've got to be careful. Hi, David, how are you? How's everyone? Says Kareem. There we are. Kareem's joined us, I told. Hope you didn't mind, Kareem, but I did explain you were in the bath in Cumbria. That was all I said. Remember to liked and shared every day. Liked and shared, I think. I think what happened there, the predictive text got you. Had a pickled egg with my supper, Scotty. Rather windy here at the moment. Yes, a wee bit windy with the pickled eggs, absolutely. We like them, though. Very nice. Although just one, I couldn't have two pickled eggs. What I said's all over the internet. Doesn't matter, Tom. You don't say it. That's the important thing. Other people, they'll have to face the music. I needed a bath, says Kareem. I was stinking. What were you stinking about? Oh, I thought you meant thinking. There we are. In Gaelic, you see, it's very difficult for Gaels to say TH in some parts of the Gaeltacht. So they say S instead. And there's a chap once swimming in the sea and he's shouting, I'm sinking. And they shouted back to him, and what are you sinking about? Karim, as long as you stay safe. You're right, we seem to care about each other's health more than down south. I wonder why, though. Well, Scottish people are very careful people. It's all right, Scotty, I'll Skype you after 9 p.m. I need to go for my dinner soon. Absolutely, J-Dog. I thought you were in a wee bit of a panic there. You mustn't. Just chill. We will get you on here, and we'll see if we can get a wee bit of charging going on the Skype. I think that would be good. I believe it all. Well, you shouldn't, Thomas, if you've not got the evidence in front of you. You know, if you were a very, very senior lawyer, but comments like that, very, very damaging and very dangerous, you know, that sort of thing. So you just have to go. You know, you've got to remember it's not about you. It's about the subject. Good evening, Scotty, and everyone. Gordon Robertson, lovely to have you with us, and a good Dinky-Doo to you. Fantastic. How is wee Oliver tonight? So there we are. Hey, is he keeping you up? Kareem says, I had a mask on all the time. Stayed away from everyone. Safety first. Are they a wee bit lax down there, Kareem? The Scots are very good at following orders. Nice one, J-Dog. Looking forward to hearing you on the Skype after. Absolutely, J-Dog. Yes. Hi, says everybody. Yam gaming. Yam, good evening. Hi, Graham. Hope you're well. My grand's still in hospital, so I'm not eating at my grand and grandad's tonight. Aha, J-Dog. Of course, I hope she's all right. Tell her Scottie McClue's asking for her. Fantastic. Evening, Gordon and everybody. Hi, says Yam Yam. Yam Yam, you're spamming us with this hi. We'll maybe have to put you in timeout if you don't stop. So there we are. Have you ever tried cheese and egg cooked in the oven, Scotty? Truly amazing. Lee Howson, it's so funny you should say that. It was a dish my mother made, and it came out like half boiled eggs in a cheese sauce. It was very, very nice. Although I'm not a great cheese man, can't really take it. What's everybody's favourite conspiracy theory? The fact that Scottie McClue's banjo. That's everybody's favourite. Graham Niven, you need to be very, very careful about that. We'll remove that. There we are. Graham Niven nearly headed for a time out there. People are finding it hard to understand what I'm saying, so I'm starting sounding like a stereotypical Scotsman. And they're going, are you what, love? What did you say, love, eh? There we are. I wore my face mask yesterday for the first time. I was at the doctor's and they're very strict. If you don't wear a mask, they won't let you in. Well, they're quite right. Quite right, Tony. And if you haven't got a mask on, you can't go in. Crank Cuffin has hit the dollar and given me £4.99. Crank Cuffin, that is extremely generous of you. That's several times you've done that, Crank. You're a very, very, very generous and kind person. Thank you for that. Very much appreciated. Crank Cuffin, everybody. Big round of silent applause. I can't do loud applause because some people are wearing headphones and it blows their head off. So there we are. Who tapped the dollar? Crank Cuffin tapped it, Tam. Crank Cuffin, that's extremely generous of you, says Graham. It is indeed. Very, very generous man. Well done, Crank, says the wonderful Finlay Morris. Thank you, Finlay. Appreciate it. Hi, Craig, Catherine. No, Oliver's not keeping me up. I tire both of us out before bedtime and encourage him into his crate with toys. I cover his crate and he's off to sleep right away. You're very clever, Gordon. You've seemed to got this wee man sussed. Thank you, says Thomas. Thank you. Absolutely. So there you are. So are you getting me, Thomas? I see you're still arguing with me, but you've got to sort of have a wee think. There we are, because if you're hoping to be out there with the bigwigs, then, which you will do, then you need to be aware of all these things. There we go. Good evening, Scotty. I was a total boffin today. I bought ladies' joggings instead of men's ones from Asda. Well, Asda's a lovely store, so you need to go back and see if they'll take them. Robert Scrimger, we shouldn't be advertising anyway. Well done, Crank, says the wonderful Craig Cochrane. Whoa, time for a comfort break, guys. Woo! Very warm in the studio tonight. I might take the big jumper off, actually. I haven't realised how warm it is. What am I arguing about? I don't know, Thomas. You need to tell me, but I'm telling you something. You're argy-bargying back. No. You see, everybody was doing it and that. You've got to just accept McClue knows. I've done the research, so it saves you a lot of bother. All you need to say is, thank you, Scotty, I didn't know that. Who's the mystery benefactor who's donated funds to McClue? Crank and Anthony Mack. Tony's donated £2 of his very hard-earned cash. Tony, thank you very much. You're not the Messiah. You're a very naughty boy indeed. So there you are. But very, very kind of you. And he says, hey, you. Guys, can we have a round of applause for Tony Mack, one of the world's top broadcasters? Dinky-Doo. Tony, that's very kind of you. Thank you. That'll go to a very, very good cause. We're building up the stream. The mystery funds. Can we get Glenn on the Skype? We might, Graham, yes. But I'm a wee bit short of juice for the Skype. My question, Scotty, is as a naval man, why do you think there's never been a ferry crossing between Fife and Edinburgh? Robert Scrimger, are you meaning into Edinburgh itself, into Leith or Granton? There was a steamer, this is where you need Ian. There was a steamer called the William something, I think around the 1920s, and it used to ply between Granton and Bunt Island. So what about that for you? And then, of course, you had the ferries from Queen's Ferry. Get Glenn on the Skype. We might well do. Well done, Tony. Get Tony on the Skype. Yes, Tony, we might get you on the Skype. Catherine Raven says, nice Gordon, hope we all of us a nice sleep. Wonder if Scotty's voice will help him sleep. I never know, he might become a fan. And you'll need to tap the notification bell for Oliver. Yes, Oliver should be a fan of Scottie McClue. Catherine Raven, are you holding hands with Ian tonight? Tam's asking about your private life, Catherine. You don't have to tell him. Scotty, I've been bad. I've enjoyed my break. I've booked it again for next weekend. Kareem, nothing wrong with that at all. If you're having a nice time, it's a lovely part of the world. You should try and get out to Silloth. And here is this beautiful Georgian resort. A wee surprise out in the sands, and get out to Port Carlisle, round there, that sort of thing as well. I played poker last night with tarot cards, got a full house and 4 people died. Craig Cochran, stop. Stop. Kareem, I think you have a lover in Carlisle, says Tam. There we are, there, Tam, stop. So there we go. You mustn't judge others, you know. So there we are. And sorry I couldn't donate more. It's been a lot of money recently. It's been out a lot of money recently. I hope it helps. Tony, yes, but you mustn't. You look after your pennies, dear boy, because I know things are tight out there. Yellow card, Craig, for negativity. Do you think so, Graham? Have we got a yellow card? I think I might take the big jumper off tonight, guys. A wee bit warm in the studio here. Catherine Oliver's joined Scotty every evening since Wednesday. I only got him on Tuesday evening, so I reckon that makes him a fan. Oliver's a fan, we say. Dinky-Doo, Oliver. Oliver. Dinky-Doo, Oliver. Dinky-Doo. There we go. Wee Oliver, welcome. My work as an office in Carlisle. Aha! Do you go down a lot, Tam, down to see Carlisle? The love of nature, says Kareem. Oh, Kareem, you need to walk round Tucken Tarn. There we are. It's about, 4 or 5 miles out the town. Robert Scrimger, I'll investigate that, Scotty. I meant Granton or Leith. Yes, sorry. The English longbow was first used at Falkirk, by the way, in 1298. A defeat for William Wallace. But it didn't last long, did it? Bannockburn, 1314. When was Stirling Brig? Was it not around that time as well? Falkirk and Stirling Brig. Taps off, says Tony. I think salmon, Graham, says the wonderful J-Dog. Oliver Twist, says Finlay. Oh, bless we, Oliver. Good taste. Absolutely. Wonderful taste. We say. And Dinky-Doo. Fantastic. Now then, what did you think of me? Anybody see me popping up on Facebook earlier just for half an hour? J-Dog, are you from Cathcart? Says Tam. Oliver Twist, may have some bones, Gordon, sir. May I have some bones? May I have some bones? There we are. Nope, says J-Dog. Hi to Catherine. Hope she's good, says Tony. Absolutely, Tony. Dinky-Doo, always hi to everybody. Fantastic. Guys, we haven't shared a thing tonight. What are we playing at? Let me see. I'm going to have to take this top off. I didn't realize how hot the studio is. Woo! It's warm. Woo! My goodness me. Very, very warm tonight. There we go. Fantastic. Right, that goes. Oh. Of course, I think a lot of the warmth might actually be coming from the beard. See, a lot of the warmth might be from the beard. We never thought of that, did we? The warmth could actually be coming from the extra heat on the face, from the beard. Have you ever heard people in Scotland a beard? I grew a beard. Hi to Catherine. Hope she's good. The Facebook was great. Did you like it, J-Dog? Fantastic stuff. And we'll get you on the Skype. Do not worry. Finlay Morris, I was fishing in Cathcart today, Scotty. Cathcart. But Cathcart's a very, very heavily populated part of the Toon. Were you in the black cart or the white cart? It would be the white cart there, wouldn't it? Guys, can we share, please? Yes, come on. Nobody's done a bit of sharing. We must share, guys. This is going to be a big problem. This forgetting to share. Getting carried away and forgetting to share, Scotty. Tut, tut, tuttity, tut. So I want to see if we can get this figure up tonight. Get the audience figures up. Very, very important. I mean, we've done almost 70 streams now. So we should be starting to see a bit of forward movement. Wonderful. Forward movement, I say. Although there's a lot of people watch afterwards. You know, I think they maybe do things at 8 o'clock. Is 8 o'clock too early, do you think? I think it's quite a good time for everybody because people go to their beds, but people go to their beds late as well. I mean, I watch sometimes a late night movie or something like that. You know, so go to bed later rather. Normally it'd be good for going to bed at 10 o'clock, but remember I'd got 25 years of being at my so-called best at 10 o'clock at night till 1 in the morning. So there you are. You should try that one, guys. That's not for the faint-hearted. I can tell you. So there we are. You get lots of people that go, I'd love to be a broadcaster. You say, you try that, see what you think. It's all very well to say it because I've been very lucky I've done it. Did you catch anything, Finlay? There we are. I remember seeing somebody fishing in Dumbarton Road in Clydebank. An old boy, and he'd got a fishing rod down a drain. I thought, for goodness sake, he can't be quite the fool shilling, as we say. Anyway, I went up to him and I said, listen, have you a wee minute? I'm just going in for a beer. Would you like to join me? So he put his rod away, put it in his pocket, you know, and, dismantled. He had a dismantling rod. And in he came to the pub with me in Dumbarton Road in Clydebank. And we sat down. I thought, I'd better humour him a wee bit, you know. So I said to him, how many have you caught today? And he said, well, you're the third so far. Did we like that? See what I just did there? Graham Niven, Kareem is having a colour. Graham Niven, that's not right. No, we'll take that out. That's just a step too far. Let's not knock people on here. So there were, Thomas started that. Do you see what I mean? So there we go. Let's get this shared, system. I've shared with Mr. McCain again. All right, Graham, very good. The beard comes with a lot of advantages, Scotty. You can store stuff in it. Fantastic, J-Dog. We love it. Press on the chat too, folks, and hit like. It takes only a split second. Yes. If everybody can like the chat, guys, press on with that. Thank you to everybody who's tapped the dollar. Very, very generous. I'm going to do a bit more sharing now. If you can all come and join me, that would be fantastic. I'll share on Facebook, even although I told them I was going on. But tonight, I would like to see if we can get the figures up, guys, if everybody does actually share. I mean, I trust you all implicitly, but I know it's very interesting. Sorry for looking round the corner here. I know it's very interesting to say, I'll no bother sharing, for goodness sake. But it helps if we actually do it all, you know, just out. It was Lynn Park. Finlay, I know we are. Press X on the chat. Yes, you suit your beard. I tried growing a beard, but it looked awful. I was scratching and itching a lot. Yeah, but that's only for the first 2 weeks, 3 weeks. Gets to a wee itchy stage, and then that passes, Tony. You've just got to leave it. You know what I mean? I just haven't shaved. All the regulars are on. They are, Glenn, but we want to get everybody want new blood as well. Yes, new people coming on. I like your hat, says Graham. Thank you, Graham. 8 p.m.'s great. You should do streams 10 to 12, says Graham. What do you think, guys? 10 to 12? Next time, Gordon, do you fish, Scotty, or did you used to? I have never, ever, ever fished, Catherine. Although I know little snippets about it and what have you, because I've hung around with people that fish. But I don't fish and I don't golf. I'm an absolute crack shot, but I don't shoot. So there we are. Very interesting. There we go. Scotty, why did you say the other night the Scottish people elected kings in the old days of the Stuarts. Stuarts believed in absolute hereditary right. You may be right, of course. Ah, Robert, yes. No, you've kind of misunderstood me. It's not like, you see, it's very confusing when you put the word elected. What I was hinting at is in the early days of the Stuarts, the people, the early kings, the people had a say in who they wanted as their king. That's why poor old Robert the Bruce was on the run in Tarbert when he let the lady goat suckle her. He was able to suckle the lady goat and pronounce that goats must roam free in Scotland, and they do. You see, so what I was trying to say is, I had to explain to somebody today about this, about absolute monarchy, and it finished. We asked, or the nobles asked, the Parliament asked King William to come over from Holland, from the Orange County in Holland. So there we are. Fantastic. So that was the thing. And then that was the start of constitutional monarchy. But then Queen Anne, who was a Stuart, she was the one that pushed through the Union. And there was a lot of jiggery-pokery, and she was the one that bribed the nobles. Somebody was trying to tell me the Queen has no power in Scotland. Just a lot of rubbish. They get that. Oh, the people are sovereign. The people are sovereign. People are not sovereign at all. There is an agreement out there, but it's not a legally binding agreement. And it's probably with the agreement of the monarchy that the Scottish Parliament represents the people, but the monarch is a separate thing altogether. And if Scotland's hoping for independence, they need to get on the right side of the monarchy and stop all the wee dafties that are going, "Pwah, they're rich with all that taking money, and oh no. You know, I saw it in another thing when we were talking about building a new royal yacht, and you had every idiot on, I hope it sinks. And these are the people that will lose Scotland her independence. I can tell you that right now, if they don't get their act together. There were, my brother tells me fly fishing's fishing without a permit. Very good, Tony. We love that. So there we are. No. Fly fishing, of course, it's all in the flick of the wrist, the casting. Casting with an old split cane rod, very, very light, as if a fly was alighting on the water. Fly fishing. So you tie on your fly. I think folks' sleeping habits will have altered during lockdown. Oh, I think so, Alistair Campbell. I've heard loud music coming out of houses at 2 a.m. and things. You know, that sort of idea. So they're obviously not asleep. Have you seen the dry season fishing? It's amazing. No, Craig Cochrane. As I say, I don't really know anything about it. So there we are. We'll not say that, Kodak. Absolutely not that kind of stream. So there you are. Wonder if our Linda's watching. If you are, I hope you're well, Linda. Absolutely. We send her love. I sent her a wee message to say to her not to worry about Skype because I can't take music on my stream. I get hit with a copyright claim. So there you go. That's what happens. So we get away because we're all talk and just play tiny bits of old music that nobody's interested in, you know, apart from us. Mother's back now, so dinner shouldn't be long. No problem, J-Dog. Do you ever cook for yourself, J-Dog? Says Tam. So there you are. Tam's asking, well, J-Dog's got a wonderful mum for a cook, you know. Yes, I do sometimes. My mother cooks much better than I do. J-Dog, only for the moment. Nobody will have told you that. I have some good recipes, J-Dog. I'm a pasta king. There we are. Fantastic. I was going to have some pasta, but it was out of date. It was pasta. It's best. I have to say, the way Nicola handled the COVID really made me feel proud of being born here. Oh, she's done an outstanding job. And when people call her names, they go, so-and-so won't be doing that. I say, yes, but the First Minister of Scotland will. Put them in their place, Catherine. Don't have any of these idiots. I couldn't be bothered cooking today after work, so I had 2 pieces with a pot noodle. Tam, you must keep, you're a very fit guy. You need to actually get eating properly all the time. My brother was born in England. Nothing wrong with that, Catherine. I always say another message to our nationalists, of course, is that we have no quarrel at all with England. The problem with Scotland is they don't like being patronized by right-wing governments in Westminster and treated as a colony. Yes, that's the sort of thing. That's where the problem is. The Union was very, very uncomfortable. I read that when James arrived in London, he didn't like the people staring at him. He got agitated and said, I'll pull down my breeks and they can look at my backside instead. Right. Alistair Campbell, yes, absolutely, yes, indeed. Well, I think it was all a bit strange, when he arrived. I mean, there was, what was the knighted gentleman who'd ridden all the way from London, was covered in mud and blood and sweat, and fell off his horse at Holyrood and kissed the hands of James VI of Scotland. So there we are. And that was James I of England. So we're running the monarchy, you see. I voted yes in IndyRef 1 and intend to vote yes for IndyRef 2. But my yes votes are conditional upon the Queen and her successors remaining monarch of an independent Scotland. I think that will be everyone, Gordon. And just the wee non-royalist dafties, they could lose Scotland, her independence, by not thinking big. It's because it's a separate issue, nothing to do with the parliamentary side at all. Sorry, Daddy Scotty, I get angry sometimes, Dinky-Doo, says Kudik. No, never get angry, Kudik. You don't need to. You're a fantastic person. You do not need to get angry at all. Save all that. Stay fabulous, I say. No quarrel at all. That's so true. Absolutely. I think Nicola's handling of the pandemic has been hindered by the Union. Yes, of course it is. The Union's a distraction, Gordon, and has been. So you've got to remember, Scotland was independent for thousands of years. Scotland's been trading with Europe for about 1,500 years. All right, so there we go. So Scotland's miles ahead. The Scots ran the empire for Westminster. They ran it for them. The Scottish Empire they talk about. All these things, the Scots fought for the crown many, 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 many times. So now we need to be supporting the unicorn. And the Highland regiments, when they used to have a toast, they would toast in Gaelic. I don't know the toast in Gaelic, but after they toasted Her Majesty the Queen, after dinner, the regiments would stand up, gentlemen, the Queen, and they would do that. And then they would toast in hushed tones, the King over the water. So the Scottish regiments were still for the Stuart King. And what a lot of people don't realise, Bonnie Prince Charlie, yes, who was, we think if he was crowned, he would have been crowned as Charles III. Can you see that there might be a wee problem there? And Bonnie Prince Charlie was invited after the American War of Independence. Poor old George III, who was, I think, Queen Victoria's grandfather, actually. And George III, the Hanoverian, Farmer George, didn't keep well, hence the movie The Madness of King George III. And he wasn't mad, he was very ill. And the cures they used, painful cupping and things, hot cuts on his skin, not right for what he had. So anyway, that was him. And he'd internally had kidney infections and things like that. Anyway, and that made him seem like mad because the toxins were getting to his brain because they weren't passing out of him. Okay, so there's McClue giving you a wee latter clinical discussion, clinical talk. Anyway, George III, he lost the American War, and in 1746, yes, and then they had American independence, and they approached Bonnie Prince Charlie, who would be in his 40s then, to ask him if he wanted to become the King of America. Can you see how different? And then they opted for a president and went for a republic. but because he turned it down. But can you see that? A Stuart king, the King of America. That could have caused a huge stushy. I just realised I'm Tony Mac on Facebook and Anthony Mac on YouTube. It's not a cloned account. No, Anthony. Tony, we know that. Wonderful, Catherine. Anthony, that's your Sunday name, says Catherine. No, I don't think it's everyone. Everyone cares about the royals as much as you think. Well, Thomas, that's because people have not been brought up to understand the royals. Do you see what I mean? And I know that you said a dreadful, dreadful thing. And that, in fairness, and this is not me having a go at you, that was out of pure ignorance. Because if we realized the background to the whole thing, and I know where you're coming from because all of us are originally from the African Rift Valley. And a lot of us came via Ireland to the United Kingdom. And the British Crown took over the Irish Crown. And so the British monarch became the Irish monarch. And they did certain things that did not go down well in Ireland. And I quite understand that. Going way back to the 1500s, the Whigs, you see, who were very good for England, but very, very bad for Scotland. And when I lived in Yorkshire, there was a huge house that went back to the 1700s, and it had been a Whig house. But the Whigs were better than the Tories for England, but it had been a Whig house. And there was a monument that celebrated the murder of the Scots at Culloden. And I stopped one Saturday night and had a moment of silent prayer and reflection at this monument that had the words on it in celebration of victory over the Scots at Culloden. And I thought, I find this difficult to swallow. And it's the same when I go to Ireland. I find things difficult to swallow, but I know that the monarchy has been a force for good, particularly in recent times, and has been very helpful for the country and for Scotland, because the monarchy is effectively, it's a Scottish setup. See, you've got three crowns in one term, and because the monarch, Henry VIII, fell out with His Holiness the Pope, and then in 1690, because by one vote, 1701 it was, the Act of Succession passed by one vote in Parliament, because the Stuart monarch had then become a Protestant. So there was a bit of fallout because they didn't want the country to be run by Rome. You see, if you look at Ireland, Rome was very, very important in Ireland's history. So there's conflict there, but that's no reason for us not to understand the background. For instance, I would never, ever, ever say anything disparaging about His Holiness the Pope. I would never say anything disparaging. I would never say anything disparaging about Her Majesty the Queen. I would never say anything disparaging about the office of President of the United States. Whatever you think of the incumbent, you must respect the office. And when you have that, and when you realize that religion has never, ever, ever caused a problem, what's caused a problem is a lack of knowledge and understanding. And that's the way ahead. And that's where I would like to see a young guy like yourself heading to. Instead of mucking about, repeating a lot of nonsense that's been repeated over history, repeating all the same thing that's been repeated for 400 or 500 years, bringing about positive change so people have a nice life. That sort of stuff. Absolutely. The English couldn't believe it when James succeeded Elizabeth I. They couldn't understand we impoverished Scotland taking over the crown, but we digged. Alba go bre. Is it bre or vre? Alba go vre. How do you say it? Is that the right way? Alba go vra. Give me it phonetically. We should have Sunday brunch pop-up, Scotty. So Anthony can use his Sunday name. Right, Scotty, I'm off for dinner. Lovely salmon, I think, tonight. I'll hopefully Skype you when I get back. Good one, J-Dog. Yes, if we've got juice in the Skype. So long as there's juice in my Skype. That's right, Catherine. Anthony's my Sunday name, and I'm called when I'm in trouble. Remember my late mum shouting Anthony when I was in trouble. Anthony! Yes, that stuff they do, don't they? There we are. I've got a friend called Jenny, and her mum used to shout, Jennifer! There we are. I'm going to start a Twitter poll. Would having no monarchy affect you voting for Scottish independence? Without the monarchy, Thomas, Scottish independence just will not and cannot happen. That's the message we need to get across to those who wish it. You know, economically, Scotland would do a fine job on its own. It would save £60 billion right away. We wouldn't have all this conflict all the time. We wouldn't be getting a party because England is used to Tory government. That's what the money people want, because they can operate with the Conservatives. That's why there was absolute bile poured out about poor old Mr. Corbyn, one of the most decent human beings in the land, regardless of your politics. Bile and bile and bile poured out against him, so that because he nearly won the election prior to that, when you had Mrs. May. Do you see what I mean? Enough said. That sort of idea. So there we are. So you can get a poll, Thomas, and one side will come out. Your poll will end up probably 50-50, I can tell you right now. But that's not what we're talking about. What we're saying is, look, if we're going to experience independence in our lifetimes, then we have to take the monarchy on board and realize that that is the sideline. Because if the Queen changed her mind and exercised her sovereignty over Scotland, that would be the end of the whole game. So we really need the Queen on board. And if we said we can secure the future of the crown, all will be well, I'm quite sure. So there you go. There's a film about King George's madness. You're right, Scotty. Catherine Raven, it's called. I've seen it. A brilliant movie with the wonderful Nigel Hawthorne playing King George. Remember in Yes, Minister, he played Humphrey, Sir Humphrey Appleton, the permanent secretary, head of the civil service. Fantastic. Craig, I hope you're good. A quick hello from sunny North Berwick, Dinky-Doo. Betty McIver, love to North Berwick. Are you in North Berwick, Betty, or are you visiting? Hi, Catherine. Okay, thanks, says Craig. Thomas says, I've tagged you in my Twitter poll. Good, Thomas. I can tell you the result now, though. There we are. Good show tonight so far, says Kareem. Kareem, it's brilliant. Yes, and I can't believe been on 45 minutes. Catherine says the Irish were kept in quarantine in America before they could begin their lives. Can't remember the island. Was it not Staten Island? Was it not Liberty Island? Was that not where everybody was processed? It wasn't just the Irish. This, of course, was the big worry about third-class steerage on the Titanic, these poor souls that got locked in and shot at and treated very, very badly as subhuman beings. We need to get away from that. You see, Scotland doesn't buy into the class system. So if I was talking to a general in the army right now, as I have done many, many, many times, I would call him general, or I would call him sir, or if I knew him well, I would call him by his first name, James, or whatever. So there you are. But I wouldn't think I can't speak to you because I'm not of your class. Can you see what I'm talking about? Whereas in England, that was the thing. And this is where the Scots were so powerful. Say you had a Scottish engineer in India, no class system stuff, and someone would say, who ordered this bridge? And they'd say, the general did. Right, well, the general needs to know this is not going to work from an engineering point of view, a civil engineering point of view. I'll speak to him about it. you can't speak to the general. You'd have to speak to me first, and I will speak to the general. The general won't see you. I beg your pardon? The general will have to see me, or he'll end up with egg all over his face. There we are. So there we are. And then when he saw him, he would say, hello, sir. Hey, just thought I'd let you know your bridge will no work. And here's why. Right. Sorry, let the Scottish man speak. So the failure of the Dorian projects what make many think Scotland can't go forward. That's what comes up when I speak to people. Alistair Campbell, these are just excuses. They're grasping at straws. Think about Dorian. It was a bit of a con, So it wasn't the Scots who caused the failure of Dorian. There we are. That wasn't the thing at all. They weren't equipped for it out in South America there, between North and South America, isn't it, Darien or Dorian? Catherine, I think that film's actually called The Madness of King George. It's called The Madness of King George III. And an American was asked about it, and somebody said they'd got it into their video shop in New York, and they said to this customer, have you seen The Madness of King George III? And the customer said, I haven't even seen 1 or 2. You see? Isn't it interesting? Because the Americans you thought were having this number 3. No British Army regiment carries Culloden as a battle honour. It was a horrible aftermath. A lot of guilt and shame still remains, but a lot of Scots turning on Scots as well. Well, Robert Scrimgeour, you're quite right, of course, 100%. There was no honour in Culloden. It was just a butchery. And it was the king's brother, William, the Duke of Cumberland, who was in charge at Culloden, known as Butcher Cumberland or Stinking Billy. And Handel wrote Hail the Conquering Hero, which he included in his opera, his oratorio, Judas Maccabeus. And we sing that to thine be the glory. That's a Handel melody. Handel composed that. Handel also composed the national anthem. It's a German national anthem, as all the great classical music really starts in Germany and Austria and the continent. I mean, Europe, very, very cultured. Us coming out of Europe is actually nothing short of sheer madness. But there we are. But, 1.2 million dictating to almost 70 million going, well, you should have voted. I mean, remember the government were 100% behind Remain at the start. They sent a pamphlet out. I've still got mine, I think. It's true. So there we are. No, Culloden was a mess, but they built the triumphal arch in Edinburgh because a lot of lowland Scots were against the Jacobites. There we are, Jacobus, the follower of the old and the young pretender. There we are. But they say that the Stuart line is the official line. Tregear House in the Borders still has the bare gates closed, and these gates will not open until a Stuart sits on the throne of Scotland again. So there we go. Incredible. They were closed when the Stuart king left. I'm sure the Pope's a great man, but I don't believe he's infallible. No human being is perfect and will always make mistakes. Well, I know somebody who knew the Pope well, John Paul II. And he said to him, what should I call you? And he said, call me Father, because I'm a priest. Isn't that wonderful? And he was, John Paul II was originally, was it Wojciech? His name, he was Polish. And I think he was from Auschwitz area or something, I think. I would need to check all that up, or he'd been a priest around Auschwitz, the village at the time. Hi, Kareem. Hi, Kareem. Hi, Saab, says Catherine. Hi, Cat. Everybody's saying hi. Everybody's arrived. I'm not a royalist, but without the monarchy, we couldn't survive. Well, you see, I was talking yesterday about rebuilding a new royal yacht, and I got no end of objection and, just poured upon it scorn and everything at this difficult time. Always we've had a difficult time. Yeah? If you get governments, the government will tell you there's a recession. It's carrot and stick. All my life, we've virtually been in recession. Now, if you had Black Wednesday, which is regarded as the worst financial experience this country's had, Black Wednesday, in 1992. I don't know if you remember it, and everything plummeted and interest rates shot up and all that sort of stuff. Anyway, that lost, I think, about £4 billion. Now, bearing in mind this is 1992, Brexit, I think the pound dropped by about 15 billion. So Brexit's been an absolute unmitigated disaster. And when I hear people say, it'll all work out, we'll get our trade deals, and can you imagine it? So there you are. So you're going to the big table with other nations absolutely naked and devoid of any negotiating power. Yes, whereas Scotland exports hugely to Europe, massively to Europe, and if you included the whiskey, because that goes into Westminster's budget, if Scotland included that, we'd be through the roof. Then people can go, what oil? The oil will run out. Where would you be then? Well, we'd be into the gas. The gas will run out. Well, we'll be into the natural electricity. Yes, you could, Glenn. That's a ludicrous statement. What's this, Tam? What's Tam saying? Without the monarchy, we couldn't survive. No, we couldn't, Thomas. We couldn't survive in terms of... It's not a ludicrous statement. We couldn't survive because it wouldn't be acceptable. You see, if you look back, the crown is untouchable. It's our symbol of authority. America has plumped for a flag because Charles Edward Stuart turned down the kingship. Did you know that? Very, very interesting, isn't it? Because America, see, Scotland, the Scots are not just in Scotland. There's only a handful of Scots in Scotland. If you go to Ireland, if you go to America, if you go to Canada, if you go to Australia, all right, you just need to scratch the surface, and there's a Scot. You see, it's known as the diaspora or something like that. Diaspora. There's too much of a misconception. The Queen symbolises England, Scotty. That's the problem, I think. You're we socialists and pro-Republicans. It's a lack of understanding. Of course it is, Robert Scrimger. Otherwise, you would never have any problems, any difficulties. It's the understanding. And what you've got there, it's been put about a bit by the official classes themselves. We welcome the Queen of England. And the Scots go, sorry, what about this better together? And I heard Prince Charles correct somebody that said, but you're going to be the King of England, sir. And he said, of Britain. There were, but you see, there's no such country as Britain. It's really just a landmass. And the Scots were patronised in the 1890s. If you were to look up official residencies in the 1890s in your books, they will say that they live in Helensburgh and then capital letters NB. And I once asked a very elderly lady who'd been an English teacher, I said, so do you remember people talking about towns in Scotland with NB after them? She said, yes, I do. I said, what did it mean? She laughed and, North Britain. North Britain. So you see, that's the kind of patronizing nonsense that we don't really want. Scotland became North Britain in the late 1800s. Who would run the country, Thomas, says Glenn. Exactly. Scotty, just a quick visit, a change from the West Coast. You see, both the Queen and the Pope are apolitical figures. They're Christians, yes? And one runs a breakaway church. See, what happened, not many people know this, but I think Bonnie Prince Charlie, who was brought up Catholic, and he turned to Anglicanism at the end and became an Anglican, because High Anglican is virtually indistinguishable from Catholic Mass, from Roman Catholic Mass. So they are very interesting. The Queen doesn't run the country, Glenn. Yes, she does, Sub-Zero. Indeed. The government, Thomas Peden, the government are there anyway. And would you honestly think that the leaders should be the ultimate power in the country? Especially when one of them may have misconstrued the truth to the Queen. They're not doing a very good job of running the country, Thomas. They certainly aren't, Glenn. This is Thomas. Agreement there between these guys. My dad always said, no one's above you and no one's beneath you. Well, your dad was quite right, Catherine. But I like to give people their place. And if you were writing to, to the Queen, you would probably start the letter, Your Majesty, and you would finish the letter, I have the honour to be, ma'am, Your Majesty's most humble and obedient. I have the honour to remain, ma'am, Your Majesty's most humble and obedient servant. Something like that would be the proper way. And that's just proper protocol. It's just correct form. And it gets things done. So anybody with a chip on their shoulder, see, the world would be almost perfect if people could get the chips off their shoulder. And it's very difficult because races have been harmed by other races in the past. In the Titanic film, they had to retake a scene with a Scottish officer who shot himself. It wasn't true. The best scene was seeing a rich passenger trying to bribe the officer to get rescued. Yes, I don't know, Tony, if guns were used by the crew and if people were threatened. I don't know how true that was. Sub-Zero, our government are screwing us over. See, when the Titanic went down, my grandfather was 31. 31. Fantastic, fantastic. And I was thinking my great-grandfather was born in 1841. So he would have been 100 during the Blitz. The officer on the Titanic responded to the rich passenger, only God can save you now. Wonderful line, absolutely. Could you imagine the Titanic now? She would have had sensors, so alarms would have gone off about the ice. Now, as long as Captain Smith heeded them, then they would have had mobile communication. All the passengers would have had mobiles that probably would have been functioning. There would have been Wi-Fi on board. They would have sent planes and helicopters dropping inflatable life rafts. They would have managed to do a lot of rescuing by helicopter. I'm just trying to think where she was lying, though, if there would have been enough fuel for aircraft to get out there. They would have been able to send quite fast-moving naval vessels out from the American side. So there we are. Come it, Janet. When have they not, Glenn, says Catherine. Scotty, I want to make something of my own like a business. I'm scared, though. What do I do? Well, Sam Opp, a business is always, you've always got risks with a business. Do be careful, because if you're starting a business, everybody comes sniffing about, especially the authorities right away. I've set up businesses for other people, and you usually get calls from the tax office and stuff fairly early on. Boris is just rearranging the seats, says Glenn Peacock. Scotty, you mentioned the Titanic. They've just built the unsinkable ship. What a claim to make again. Alistair Campbell, yes. I think there's many stories about the Titanic. There's a conspiracy theory that she wasn't actually the Titanic. She was her sister ship, the Olympic. They swapped the ID. That was one conspiracy. There's another one, you see, that the watertight doors in the compartments flooded because the doors were open. There's also a conspiracy theory that the bunker was on fire. Now, it would just be working away, very difficult to put out so deep with so much fuel. But there was a theory that the bunker was on fire and had weakened some of the bulkheads, all these things. And I have actually stayed in a house that had been owned by, what was his name again? The head of the White Star Line. He was the head of the White Star Line, the one that was a broken man because he'd got away on a lifeboat. He was on board the Titanic. So there we are. I can't just remember his name. Bruce Ismay. Sir Bruce Ismay, I think. I think that was him. Is that right? I ate a chocolate watch yesterday. It's very time-consuming. We love it, guys. We're nearly out of time. I can't believe it. Share, guys. I think it's disgraceful why people are having to rely on food banks when we're one of the richest countries in the world, and the government say we've never been better off. Now, Tony, let me give you a wee example here. Every day it goes on about, oh, there's the Queen sitting in a £1 billion palace and all that kind of nonsense. A lot of that's mythical. The head of state stays in the administrative headquarters for this country. There's 4 countries of the UK, right? And it was bought for £5,000. It's been done up about 3 times in its lifetime. One of them about 120 years ago. Okay, so all this sort of idea of, oh no, there's no money, but we're doing very well and we're very rich. Love nonsense. That austerity was political, to get the money back to the bankers who'd made a dreadful, dreadful mess because they didn't want the banks to go bust. So we were all put in financial lockdown 12 years ago, right? We're put in financial lockdown by the government. There's plenty of money floating about. I think there's about 450 billion sloshing about in the coffers. But they wanted to bail the banks out. And you had wee old ladies selling their engagement ring and things to get the money for the gold because they were so short. So the food banks are political, nothing to do with the monarchy, right? So when they're saying there's no money, they're saying we're trying to not feed ordinary people. We're trying to avoid that. We're wanting to keep the money the ordinary people give us for ourselves. Yes? So that's how now. It was ever thus. That's how your capitalist society works. Your socialist society is no better financially, I can tell you. Your communist society is a disaster, as anybody would tell you. So there you are. So there's the politics of envy. And I'm against people who have been brought up with a poor background, becoming politicians, and then punishing the rich. And that's happened as well. That's wrong. Politics of envy. All right? So you need to have the front. The reason I'd like a new royal yacht is the royal yacht is a floating embassy for us. Yeah? And trade deals and all sorts of business are done aboard a royal yacht. Think about it. It's peripatetic. It can go anywhere in the world, anywhere in the Commonwealth. And this is how it worked. And the crew were fantastic. They used to join in, resetting all the furniture after dinner into the reception room. Ladies and gentlemen, if you'd all like to go upstairs for coffee, then they'd all, including the doctor and everybody on board, right, let's get all this cleared up, quick. Fantastic, moving the furniture about, wonderful stuff. So HM Royal Yacht ran as a floating itinerant office, an embassy for the country. And a Labour government came in, and the first thing they did out of politics of envy was decommission the Royal Yacht. A very, very, very wrong, silly, ill-thought-out, ill-advised decision. Now, the Britannia herself was getting elderly. She was launched on the 16th of April, 1953, from John Brown's in Clydebank. She was beautifully built. Some politician tried to say she was badly built. Beautifully built. And the little lay shafts, steam turbines, gas turbines, I think. Anyway, she was getting expensive to run, and she was getting elderly. But they could have taken these engines out and put in new diesels. All right? There's another very, very famous yacht called the Nalin, and Mrs. Simpson and Edward hired the Nalin. She belonged to Lady Yule, the widow of a Scottish industrialist. And Lady Yule had asked G.L. Watson, the designers, in, I think it was Hope Street in Glasgow, to design her a yacht that could go anywhere in the world. So the Nalin was built, a big steam yacht. And then the Nalin had a very interesting history. Ending up, I think, in a communist country. And she's been brought back and restored by one of our top industrialists. She's got diesel engines in her. All the steam had to come out. It'd be lovely. Away from history, what 5-letter word, if you take away 4 letters, is still pronounced the same? Eh? Eh? Or in Yorkshire, E. E. The Commonwealth, absolutely, Alistair Campbell, the Commonwealth, so that's the whole thing about it. So these places, I mean, the Queen and her wonderful husband, the Duke, they are, they're human beings. So they're not going to last forever. She's 94, he's 99. I saw him last week at his granddaughter's wedding, looking outstandingly well at 99. Incredible. So, is North Britain or Naval Base? Welly song, very interesting. Yes, you will have seen it as Naval Base. I would imagine, because you're out in that part of the world. But it was at the turn of the 20th century, North Britain. So your address would have been somewhere like Helensburgh, NB. There we are. Very strange. So it was another patronising attempt by the powers that be to put Scotland down, to try and destroy the Scots' confidence. And they succeeded at the last referendum in 2014. They succeeded, So there we go. They destroyed people's confidence. Old pensioners were going, I would love to vote yes for Scotland to be independent, but I'm worried about my pension, because they say I'll no get it if we do. And that was a complete myth. That was total rubbish. Pension funds are nothing to do with borders and barriers like that. Alistair Campbell, the band finished their gig by playing Nearer Thy God to Thee. Is it Nearer My God to Thee? As she was going down. And then the leader of the band shook hands with the rest of the band and he said, gentlemen, it's been a privilege playing with you this evening. Isn't that fantastic? They tried to make out something about him being drunk, and the man didn't drink. That's where myth is so bad. Fable, myth, and legend. So there we are. But if you want to hear Nearer My God to Thee, I can't put it on here. If I was on the radio, I could. Listen to Andre Roux playing it. So put it into YouTube when I go off Andre Roux, Nearer My God to Thee. And the man is an absolute musical genius, a maestro. A maestro. I'd love to go to one of his concerts. Yum Yum Gaming Channel. Good evening, Yum Yum. Ha 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 ha. Now, Yum Yum, you're spamming us again. Advice for Sam Op, get a good accountant even before you start a business. I'm not an accountant, so I'm not biased in giving this advice. Yeah, speak to an accountant because the accountant may well know of a business that could do with that particular person running it. Accountants are very, very good. I've done a lot of accountancy. I used to be in banking and finance. So I know that. Yes, that was his name, Scotty, says Catherine Raven. Did you say we're nearly out of time? I did, Gordon. We've been on an hour and 10 minutes. Do you want to do a little bit more or do we want to pack it in? Red card, Yum Yum Gaming. Absolutely. I don't know if I've got a red card. I've never given out a red card, guys. I might have a yellow one. Here we are. I'll do it the football way, won't I? They usually do that when there's a bit of argy-bargy going on. They always do that when there's argy-bargy. Fantastic. I know, Scotty, we've not heard J-Dog yet. Don't go yet, says Catherine. Craig Dunno, perhaps Scotty is going out in the Randan tonight. Gordon Robertson, you mustn't judge everybody by yourself. Maybe him and Johnson on the loose, says Craig. Johnson. I'll just go in and check the public house to see if it's suitable for you. Thank you, Johnson. Would it not be reasonable to expect the Queen to contribute something financially towards rebuilding the Britannia? After all, she's one of the richest people in the world. Anthony, again, this is mythical. The Queen does have a lot of money compared to you and I. But that money is tied up in the royal estates, which are part of the state. Some of the houses are owned directly by the monarch, and at the abdication were passed on to the new monarch, and there would be a price agreed for them. But the likes of Buckingham Palace is owned by us. So that's why we're contributing, because it's a state asset. And in terms of money, the Queen does not have a lot of money compared to other people. What you're forgetting is that there are executives of banks on a salary of £20 million, Tony. All right? That's their salary. They won't touch that because they'll be living off expenses, etc., etc. So there's that going on. So, the Queen is very, very careful with money. Prince Charles once lost a dog lead, and the Queen said, how did you get on when he'd walked the dogs? He said, I've lost the lead for the dog. And she said, well, go and look for it because dog leads cost money. Yes? So there we are. And when people were always saying to the Queen, is it not time you got a new car? No. And she was a mechanic. She drove cars until they were virtually out of puff. Her favourite, if I remember, was a Rover 3.5 estate. I actually saw her in, I think it was a Humber estate. It was a beautiful old thing. And I was very young, and I saw her in Windsor Great Park driving past and got a wave from her. Fantastic. And she was in a Humber estate at the time. It was a lovely, lovely thing. And she'd just come back. We saw the grooms bringing horses back. She obviously had to get on with a matter of state because she works and works and works. There we are. I had an idiot when it was the Queen's birthday going, I never worked a day in her life. And I thought, your ignorance is only matched by your arrogance. Fantastic. Same with His Holiness. Busy, busy, busy guy. That's the sort of thing. High office. So no, it wouldn't be reasonable, Tony, to ask the Queen to contribute money towards rebuilding the Britannia because it's ours. It's representing the state. It's a floating embassy. That's like asking the Queen to give money to refurbish one of the embassies in London, and by the sort of rich list, the Queen is not hugely, hugely wealthy by any manner of means. There are presidents and other people who have got a lot more money. So there we go. And remember, as my father used to say, you can only wear one suit. Is it compulsory to bow to the Queen? No, it's good manners, I think. If you are being taken in to meet her, it's called going into the presence. And she's very, 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 very skilled socially, obviously. So she understands different people. But the equerry would come and get you. Equerry, equus, old word, the person that used to hold the king's horse, the equerry. And the equerry is usually a senior service officer who's taken the job as equerry. And because they have to work very, very closely with the monarch. So they would come and get you. You'd be shown up by the staff, and then the equerries, they would say something like, Colonel Macduff's just on his way down to see you. And down would come a delightful chap that would go, hello, Tony, nice to see you. Now, I'm going to take you into the presence. I will knock the door, and then we will... go in, we will stand and we will bow, and you only need to lower your head to your chest. This is what the Scottish officers used to say. Just lower the head. So that's what you would do. And then you would go forward, and the monarch would stretch her hand out and shake yours, and then say to you, do sit down. Yes, and then she would put you at your ease and have a wee chat about what you were chatting about. So it's not a question of compulsory, it's just good manners, in the same way as I would bow to His Holiness. Fantastic. We're taken in by the Swiss Guard. Anthony, I think no, but everyone ought to be proud. Yes, absolutely, Gordon Robertson. You get to meet the monarch. It's quite an experience. It used to be such an experience to even see the monarch. If you saw the king riding by in his coach, that sort of idea. I'm more open-minded on independence, Scotty. The Union is like nostalgia. Nostalgia is like concrete. If you put your feet in it, it'll harden and you'll never move forward. No, I think the economic side and, the sniping from the sidelines of Westminster to Holyrood is not welcome. Holyrood has done an outstanding job. It's a very new parliament. Remember that Westminster's been around. How long's the Westminster Parliament been around? Since the 1300s, something like that, 1600s. When did it actually start? Did you hear about the semicolon that broke the law? He was given 2 consecutive sentences. Craig Cochrane, I love it. I think the minister, or one of the ministers in the Titanic when it was going down, was a Glasgow minister called the Reverend Harper. The Harper Memorial Church in Glasgow is named after him. Yes, and when I worked for Scottish Opera were given the building in Elm Bank Crescent in Glasgow. And this was our administrative headquarters. And they were given the building. It was secured for them by a wonderful man called Sir Ian Stewart, who was an industrialist. Sir Ian M. Stewart. And Sir Ian Stewart was a great benefactor to the arts in Scotland and in Glasgow. And he was a director of Scottish television, of STV. And Sir Ian, because STV had been in the Theatre Royal, you see. And Sir Ian Stewart secured the building because he was the chairman of the Society of Scottish Shipbuilders and Engineers. And if you go into the building in Elmbank Crescent, in the foyer at the back of the building, you'll see a beautiful big marble tablet as a memorial to the engineers who died on the Titanic. And I did let the newspapers know this at the time, if they wanted to get a picture on the anniversary on 2012. But whether they took me up on it, I don't know. Thomas is saying, yellow card for me, please. What for, Thomas? You haven't done anything wrong. Scotty, I'm back from dinner. Welcome back, J-Dog. Don't stop just now. Oliver's just gone to sleep. I'll keep my voice down, Gordon. Can you all still hear me if I talk like that? Or is it too quiet? So there we go. The biggest council house in Britain is Buckingham Palace, says GMGM. Absolutely. And people talk about, oh, they should put the homeless in there. The poor homeless would have a nervous breakdown within minutes. Buckingham Palace has got, I think, 463 rooms. And the family won't have had time to visit them all. Some of them are little semi-secret rooms with doors that are mirrors and all that sort of stuff. Queen Victoria used to love playing in the palace because she had to get away from her domineering mother, the old Duchess of Kent, and that stuff. So she used to go and hide on her, and the mother couldn't find her. There we are. Thomas Bean says, Mountbatten was my favourite royal. Good one, Thomas. Excellent stuff. So there we go. Yes, indeed. And I think there was a huge stushy about what happened to Lord Mountbatten. That caused a tremendous split. It should never, ever, ever, ever have happened. Again, that was a total lack of, total ignorance, just sheer madness, because it did the Irish cause so much harm and set it back so terribly in the eyes of everyone. And the thing about that, this is where it's just so strange. The one man that would have understood the Irish cause was Lord Mountbatten, because he had a house in Ireland for years. He knew the Irish very well. He was a socialist. That'll make you smile, Thomas, but he was a great socialist, as was his wife, Edwina. She was very, 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 very wealthy. He wasn't independently wealthy, really, but she was. And Broadlands, their big country house, was hers. Her father was... Now, who was her father? Lord Mount Temple. Ashley's. They were... her father was Lord Ashley, and her grandfather was Lord Mount Temple. And I think he was Ernest Castles, who was the banker to the king. He was a great pal of Edward VII. So they went back a long way, but Mountbatten was very, very royal, very royal. He was Queen Victoria's grandson or great-grandson. I would have to work that. I think he was Queen Victoria's great-grandson. Lord Mountbatten. He was born in 1900, same year as the Queen Mother. But he, of course, with his experience in India and his capacity to talk to people, he would have been a terrific man for a contingent of the Irish people to have spoken to. What would you do, Lord Mountbatten? And he could have just made a terrific difference. So it was just so wrong on so many levels. And the wee boys that were killed in that, and the damage to his lovely daughter and her husband. You know, I mean, that was at Patricia and John Braeburn. That was just terrible, lying in hospital at the time of their father's funeral. And it sent no message at all other than people are just incredibly ignorant and thoughtless and uncaring. And if the people that did it had been caring about their cause, then that would have been the man to speak to. So it was such a strange, strange thing. So it's interesting that he was your favourite. Ronald Villa says, I believe the Royals are... Ronald, you can't say that. There we are. But Charles used to drive a Lada Riva estate. He's a man of the people. Yes, I don't remember that one, GM. And an old friend who said to people who put him down, you mustn't judge me by your own standards. I use that all the time. Yes, when we get independence, we can make Rapsy Nesbitt the king. No, the monarch will still be the monarch, or we won't get independence. There we are. Scotty, how dare you say I'm spamming again? For a start, this is my first time in stream. 3 texts saying, isn't spamming. Scotty, red card. Well, there we go, Yam Yam. But you were, why did you send 3? Yellow card. They're playing Total on Nation Radio tonight. Now, when they should have Scotty on. It's a disgrace, says GM. Well, no. They agreed they wanted to do love songs. So, I just said, well, good luck, and went about my merry way. There's no problem. There's no animosity. Why do bees have sticky hair? Can I Skype? Yes, you can. I heard that Lord Mountbatten was a passenger on the other bus. Yes, I think he would occasionally take the bus, Gordon. There we are. Yam Yam is now going to be banned for life. Right, guys, Yam Yam's getting banned. So here we go. Can't say that. Ridiculous nonsense. I can't believe on the stream we've still got an idiot misbehaving. What is that about? So there we go. Right. Okay. They've gone. Right, that's gone. Right, end of Yam Yam. Shocking Yam Yam. There's a lot of rumours, so there we are. Yes, we're not gone with that, Thomas Beeden, thank you. These are just rumours. We don't know. Did you read today about social justice bill discussed in the Scottish Parliament could affect your profession big time? Says Alistair Campbell. In what way did you think, Alistair? I try to keep away from politics. Yes, social justice bill, very interesting. Thatcher got lucky in Brighton. What a chance. Yes, there we are. But again, just complete and utter nonsense. Whatever you think of politics, the attempts to assassinate leaders obviously never, ever, ever, ever work. And although there might be a little bit of short-term, very, very, very bad publicity, nothing is gained. Look at Mahatma Gandhi. The Gandhi family, Mother Gandhi, Indira, that sort of thing. Absolutely. I remember I was in the newsroom the morning it happened, but what Thatcher did, which was incredible, people thought it was a bit heartless at the time. She went on with the conference because she knew that was the best way to get the message out there. My mum was born in Elmbank Crescent in Bunbank, Hamilton, says Catherine. I wonder there's a King Street there too. My dad used to say the Germans couldn't get by Bunbank because America has Burbank too. There we are, fantastic. Well, there's Bunbank just off Great Western Road in Glasgow. When you would turn down, now what's the name of the little street you turn down? It's a right-hand turn halfway along Great Western Road. And you turn down there and you can go round the back to Mary Hill. There we are. I remember when the Queen met the late Martin McGuinness, who was an IRA commander. I believe the IRA was attacked by the IRA when the Queen met Martin. She showed great mercy to him. Yes, that was a wonderful, wonderful gesture because she was terribly fond of Dickie Mountbatten, and he was a remarkable man. They will try and debunk him now because he's dead. Sorry, I meant when the IRA attacked Lord Mountbatten. Oh, yes, so it caused a huge stushy. That was a dreadful, dreadful thing to have done. I actually was attending a naval meeting. My husband's a naval surgeon. My goodness, they specialise, don't they? Attending a naval meeting the night he died. I arrived at the house and my mother said, you'll be very sad because Lord Mountbatten's been killed. I went to a naval meeting. I can remember with naval officers there. Yam Yam, more like Bam Bam, absolutely. Mountbatten was effectively in control of Asia after the war, says Robert. He even used the Japanese soldiers to police the Burmese. The British were pulling out. Nobody was left. Well, he had to. It was very strange. After he was the commander of Southeast Asia. And he got criticized heavily, like any commander does. But he had to make pretty crazy decisions because of the situation. And he had to let the Japanese army go and put them to work because you can't imprison a whole country. Do you see what I mean? You can have prisoner of war camps, and the Japanese were merciless in their treatment of Allied prisoners, as we know. But you can't imprison a whole country. So you had to let them go. Very, very strange. We need to start a campaign to get Scottie back in the radio. His natural environment for his talents with everybody in their houses. Scottie's ratings would go through the roof. Yes, I think national radio should have come for me. I would have been delighted to talk to them. And I mean, what they don't understand is I can talk about anything you like. We don't have to be controversial, you see? And if they're worried about controversy, we don't need to do it. You know, everybody knows Scottie McClue. There's a Glasgow tribute act to Dusty Springfield, which is called Dusty Spring Bun. Thank you. Very nice, Tony. You're a great one for the fun. Pardon me. Sorry, that's that orange juice. So there we are. Catherine, my mum and her family were all from Burrenbank in Hamilton. Well, there is really only sort of Burrenbank and then another couple of areas in Hamilton. You know. Burrenbank's huge. And you look at, where's he from? From Burrenbank. Yeah. Well, that sort of idea. Absolutely amazing. So there we go. So yes, the Lord, any murder is a dreadful thing. But the Mountbatten murder was just the very, very worst thing anybody could have done, because what you used to get when the Tsar would join his cousin Nicky, the Tsar of Russia, would join his cousin, King Edward, at Sandringham for shooting. The Russians always brought huge, huge security with them. And Edward VII, who'd only had one guy shoot at him, and the guy missed, and he turned, they said, "Are you all right, Your Majesty?" He said, "That's the problem with these anarchists, they're damn bad shots." That's just quality chat, you know, because you're talking about a human being just like the rest of us, you know, absolutely. So there we go. Now, I'm going to do some more sharing, guys, because we've all forgotten to share. And I'd like to see these figures up if possible. What group shall I share with? There we are. Excellent stuff. Right, we'll see if that lets people know what's what. Keep sharing, please, with all your groups, guys. Very much appreciated. There we are. Oh, well, now do we share here? Yes, this is important. Très important. So there we go. Diplomacy. He was a very, very charming man, Louis Mountbatten. Very charming man. But yes, him and his wife, they were incredibly wealthy as a couple. He, as I say, wasn't independently wealthy, but he would be very well paid as a senior service officer and as a viceroy. You know, what have you, and he'd be all right for accommodation in a huge house in London. But a guy called canvassing for the Tory party at his flat. And he said to him, he said, "Listen, you'll not get much out of us. We're socialists, but my butler is one of your mob." The butler was a conservative. So he said, "I'll give him a shout." North Korea is a prison state. Everyone's under surveillance. Yes. So I'm going to tell you about it. So Edward VII said to his cousin, the Tsar, he said, "Must we have that mob frightening all the birds?" Because they were trying to shoot. And of course, the security people clattering about in the bushes were putting the birds up. So he said, you know, save the dogs, I suppose. So he said, "Must we have these people clattering about in the bushes, upsetting the birds?" And he said, yes, well, in my country, it is very dangerous for me, as it proved, 1917, 1918. And he said, well, I trust my people and they trust me, you know? So that's the whole thing. So I'm afraid this idea of assassinating, because as soon as you do that to senior person, then another one is appointed. Gordon, why that's interesting. My gran lived in King Street, used to dress in twin suits. Always say she dressed like the Queen. Lovely white hair too. They don't make them like that anymore. So there we are. Riley boy will not be doing that tonight. Thank you very much. No gay jokes. No, not polite. There we are. We're all just human people. People shouldn't be so hard on themselves. We're all just human. Sorry. People shouldn't be so hard on themselves. Absolutely, Catherine. Thank you, guys, if you've tapped the $1. Very, very much appreciated. I shall find out. There's an area of Bunbank called the Jungle. That's because once you went into it, it's very near impossible to find your way back out. I remember going into a huge Scottish scheme. I was in a rush to a meeting, and I took the wrong turning. And I went into this huge Scottish scheme, and I had a guy in front of the car who was coming to the meeting with me. And I went in and I went, oh my goodness, we've got into the scheme. Oh, I can't believe it. And he turned around, he had a wee chip in his shoulder, and he said, what are you on about? I was brought up in a place like this. I said, I am not having a go socially. I know that the way the big Scottish scheme works, I'm going to have to go all the way round to get back out again. He was in a panic. We chipped in the shoulder there. Why, said Riley? No, we don't do gay jokes, because a lot of people now have come out as gay and they don't want to be joked about. I was watching the Naked Gun film. There's a funny line when a woman with a big cleavage says to Lieutenant Draben, is this some kind of bust? And he says, yes, it's very impressive. These are very funny films, actually. Any chance for a wee tune, Scotty? I love the accordion with it. Liz, the other night, the one you played, yes, but I had to sort out the copyright on it. Speak as you find, says Riley Boys. Absolutely, Riley Boy. Or are we gagged now? No, Riley Boy, but I think we're going to be gagged. Have you seen the Crown TV show? Netflix, Scotty. I don't have Netflix. You'd enjoy that, I reckon. I got my parents the DVDs for Christmas. I've seen the first one on DVD. Scotty should have 10K viewers, not 27. It's like owning a Ferrari and never going over 40 miles in it. Well, I'll tell you, when I actually used that, they put me on a medium wave station, several medium wave stations. And I said, look, having Scottie McClue in medium wave, it's like having a sports car and just leaving it in the garage. You know, we need to get out there and talk to the people. There we are. However, whether it will happen again in my lifetime, I don't know. But it doesn't matter because, we'll see how all this goes. I don't think we'll always just have a handful of viewers. I think it'll go up. We've been having reports of you. There we are. Very good. We're having reports of you. Fantastic. Right. There they go. Wonderful stuff. The Whigs never went away. The Whigs, I think you mean. J-Dog, when you're calling Scotty. Yes. Have we got the Skype on? Let's just check in case J-Dog's trying to get through. See if we got the Skype on. You getting me? Have we got the Skype connected? Yes, the Skype's on, I think. Yep. Skype's on, J-Dog. We missed you at 9:26. Try it now. Oh, I'll tell you what's wrong. We can't hear it. Try it now, J-Dog. That was the problem. We can't hear the Skype. There we go. They could film the next episode of I'm a Celebrity in Easterhouse. It's a bit of a jungle there, Tony. We don't put bits of Glasgow down. Easterhouse, a lot of very fine people there. I'm playing the piano in my patio, steaming. There's your patio steaming. Are you up the jungle, John? So true. Kareem, we haven't heard from you in ages. Are you still watching? More likes, please, guys. Give us another dozen or so likes. That would be fantastic. So there we are. Riley boy, very good. Yes, absolutely. We know that one. We like that. So there we go. Fantastic. All that sort of idea. There we go. Now, yes, no, things are changing. I mean, I've had to change with the times, as you know, which is not best. And the last time they tried to gag all the football crowds and that wasn't satisfactory at all. But we'll see about this social act, see what's what. I have heard things about it, I have to say. John, I thought you played snooker, not the piano, says Sub-Zero. Ah, right, Sub-Zero. Very, very good. I see what you just did there. Guys, can we have a massive share? Just a huge, huge share, if nobody minds. I've been a bit lax at sharing tonight myself. So there we are. Yes, good one, Riley boy. We like that. Again, we can't actually tell these. Would you believe it? My goodness me. Right, I'll go to that one, I think. There we are, guys. Fantastic. We'll pop that in. That's wonderful stuff. See who comes and joins us. I wasn't meaning to put the good people down. I'm laughing with them and not at them. Good one, Tony. Yes, quite right. Absolutely, 100%. Guys, more sharing, please. I can't believe that we're not getting this out. Sharing. Have I shared to that one? Yes, I think I have. Right, I'll share to this one. Sharing all the time. Let everybody know what is what. Fantastic. Poor old Riley boy is on telling unsuitable jokes, and we have to let him go. There we go. Wonderful, wonderful. Now then, no, we shouldn't be, against people's ideas and beliefs. We should try to see where they're coming from. Scotty, they forget you were one of the first shock jocks on radio. Many tried to imitate you but didn't succeed. I prefer the nicer, more mellow Scotty of today than the Scott FM one. Yes, but at the time, I mean, shock jock was just a label. I was never really a shock jock, but we did trailblaze hugely for talk radio in the world, actually, because people were listening from all over. I used to get interviewed all over the world. People would phone up, say, can we do an interview with you? Scotty, I'm back from walking the dogs. Spin rate going up again. Your thoughts? The spin R rate. The R rate's going up. The COVID rate, yes. Well, it will do if people are out and about, because you're just going to go back to breeding. So it needs to actually get hammered out, the old disease. There we are. I've told there's not much battery here. Is J-Dog going to Skype? What's going on? I could try and see if we can get another source of juice. I'll steal the juice from our broadcast. There we are. Right. We'll see if J-Dog Skypes. Fantastic. Riley boy's retiring, but wish you all good health. Absolutely, Riley boy. Yes, sorry about that if it's not your thing, but hopefully you'll understand. I was just asking for you, Kareem, to see if you'd Skype with J-Dog. So there we go. Absolutely. Fantastic. Right. I was asking for you, Kareem, to see if you'd... Oh, yes. Sorry, I've just... Right. More sharing. Sharing. How are we doing for time? We've got about another 10 minutes. It's been a fabulous stream tonight. Or am I imagining that? Have you enjoyed it, guys? Have you liked tonight? Tonight. So it was a bit of an eye-opener that, of course, I can't have Linda on to play the accordion, because it would be music and then it hits with a copyright. Such a shame. But there we are. That's the way the cookie crumbles. Okay, just let everybody know what's what. 75 years, Scotty, since Clement Attlee became Prime Minister. Poor old Winston, but the country needed change. Do you know that when Attlee became Prime Minister, his wife was ordered to drive him to the palace in case they tried to put Gateskill in instead of him? Has anybody heard that little rumour? There we are. And Clement Attlee, you see, had been the depute under Churchill. He was Churchill's depute. But of course, and he was a Haileybury man, public school boy and all the rest of it from Haileybury, which was quite a tough school. Tell you who else went to Haileybury was Peter Townsend, the equerry who fell in love with Princess Margaret, or Princess Margaret fell in love with him. And it caused a huge stooshy. There we are. Scotty, if lockdown ends, would you consider keeping your stream going? Even one stream a week? What do you think, Alistair? It's certainly been a success. I know the figures aren't massive, but I think that in terms of developing the stream, once people send round word of mouth, say, do you listen to Scottie McClue? What's he on? I'd listen to him right away. He's on YouTube. Oh, I don't know how to get that or whatever. He said, no, I'll show you. So that's, I think, the problem. We don't just turn on the radio. But you see, Scottie McClue on Scot FM, a lot of that was word of mouth in central Scotland right away. Of course, the newspapers picked up on it. The newspapers won't be so interested in this because it's not so controversial. You see what I mean? That sort of idea. Shall I Skype? Kareem, of course. There we are. I'll try my best, Catherine. It's been great as always, Scotty, says Catherine. Yes, Kareem. And an argument with a man who had a wooden leg said to me, it's a matter of opinion. Opinion. That's an old one. Have you ever heard a wee song called Dr. Finlay? Andy Stewart used to sing it. As the man with the wooden leg said, it's a matter of... Oh! Kareem!
Scotty, how you doing?
Are you Dinky-Doo?
Yes. I don't know if there's going to be a good signal as usual because I'm south.
You're south, you're in Carlisle.
Yes. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, we can, Kareem. How's it going?
Not bad. Very relaxed.
You're very relaxed, or the people are very relaxed?
A bit of both, actually, yes.
Fantastic. We love that.
Yes. Then a bit of shop, took the dogs massive walks to the local parks. Is that
so
Bits Park?
You would be in
the castle.
You would be in Bits Park and you would see the River Eden.
I have, yes.
Yes.
And where I'm staying is Hayshall or Haymal, I can't remember park, but it's a long, long park through the housing scheme and it's fantastic. It's just such a lovely walk.
Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. Yes, so you're up to the back of Carlisle.
Yes, just past.
And you'll see there's an area called Stanix. And if you go up there, you'll see some beautiful old houses.
Right.
Yes, it's just up from Bits Park.
Right. I think I know what you're talking about, the quite big ones looking onto the river.
That's the ones, huge big mansions. Yes.
Lovely.
Stanix.
Lovely.
And then there's lovely, lovely little villages out. I mean, they'll be changed. Brampton's worth a look, of course. And a walk round Tockin Tarn, which is a wee loughin. And there's a lovely path all the way around. And there's a super car park. So you'll see the road out to Tockin Tarn. You need to head out towards Brampton, and then you'll see a sign before that goes Tockin Tarn. Talkin, I think.
Right.
And that's a lovely walk.
I booked it for next week, so I'm intending I want to try and visit some of the local towns or villages.
Yes.
So I'll have a wee nosy here a week on Google Maps.
Another nice wee nosy, it's all very, very short runs, it's super, is out to a place called Silloth. Silloth, and that's an old Georgian Victorian town by the seaside.
Okay.
It's not great for the beach because the beach is very rocky. So it's not sandy.
Right.
But then there's also Bruff by Sands. And I think there's a memorial to the Battle of Flodden out that way.
Lovely.
Incredible. So it's well worth a look. Just watch if you're going out. There's lots of nice places as well. But just watch the Solway because the tide comes flying in. So you don't want to get trapped and you don't want the dogs stuck in the sand. The Solway. The sands are dangerous as well. So the Solway Sands. So that's also good. But Geltwoods is a fabulous walk. And that'll take you a good old while.
Yes. I had a look. I felt it would be probably a bit muddy to go today if I was going to go to the during the night.
Yeah, you'll be fine. But if you've got your willies, there's super paths. The paths there's tiny wee bits of mud, but the paths are very, very well defined.
Right.
You can have hop step round the mud. But if you've got your walking boots or your wellies, you'll be absolutely fine.
Fine. Oh, that's good.
But they're very, very well defined.
It's been an eye-opener in terms of the differences between this pandemic up the road at home compared to down here. It really has been an eye-opener.
Well, I think this is a sign of how Scotland's handled it.
Yes, yeah. I think the people have took it very serious up back at home.
Yes.
And to be fair, people are wearing masks in shops, but they're not really social distancing. And I mean, someone today came into a shop, instead of putting the mask on his face, he just held the mask up in front of his face.
Aye. You see, that's not good.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
But that's why there was an extra.
Takes all kinds, but you see, the problem is, until the virus is stamped out, if people start getting together again, it will just go back up and we'll have another spike.
Yes, I know.
Because I was getting quite a lot of intel about, how they could have acted a couple of weeks earlier down south. There could have been all sorts of different changes. The lockdown should have been quicker, that kind of stuff. I mean, they lost about 2 weeks, and start by just not taking it seriously. And then, of course, they would deny it, of course, but there was talk about herd immunity. And that was just too dangerous. And it's kind of died a death, if you'll pardon the expression, you know what I mean? So everyone's going, oh, no, we never meant herd immunity. But that was on the cards at the start. And then it was very quickly clamped down when they realised it could cause about 400,000 deaths.
Yeah. Well, Boris did mention that. I remember him speaking about that.
Yes. I mean, I think there might be hopefully a bit more honesty about stuff coming out, but the Scottish setup, as far as I can see, has been very clear and very transparent, and the First Minister has been very upfront about everything, and that has been fantastic.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, I think people are jealous. I mean, I was having a discussion from here, and just talking about we hate Nicola Sturgeon. She's a wee nippy sweetie. Yes. I said, oh, she's a fantastic leader. Yes. I think she's done a great job. We spoke about the referendum. You'll never be allowed it. You'll never be given it. I said, well, we're sovereign. I'm sure if the people want it, we can have it. It's been quite interesting to see people's views from here.
Well, I had the discussion with people today, because what I don't want is people to blow this by thinking, so when you say we're sovereign, the Parliament have been given sovereign powers by the monarch. You see?
Yes.
It's very interesting. And of course, the monarch is always sovereign, but as far as the Parliament goes, but there's an agreement in place, but it's a kind of shaky hand agreement. It's not a legal document. What would help immensely is if both Scotland and Westminster drew up a constitution for each country. A constitution, because the nearest thing we've got is the Declaration of Arbroath from what is it, 1340, that one.
Yes, that's
that right?
there. I remember about that
1340. But it is not a legal document, you know? So you've got the romantics getting very confused. I had to explain to somebody they were confusing the political and the apolitical, you know?
Right.
And they need to get that right.
Scotty, someone was saying that the Queen would not allow, it's up to the Queen if there's going to be a referendum and it would be her choice, basically. I wasn't too sure how to answer that, but I thought she would be
it's not actually, well, ultimately, the Queen would be involved, but it's up to the Parliament to get the referendum out there and realise that they're going to have to, you know, grasp the nettle, so to speak. You know, so that's up to them. It's up to the Parliament to sort it. But if there's a new Scotland bill, that bill will need to become an act, and it will need royal assent. It will need the Queen's agreement. Now, if I was the Queen, which of course I'm not, nor would I ever think I spoke for her or like her or anything like that, but if I was in that position, I would not agree to anything until I saw proper legal security for the Crown and for my own family. I would say I am not going to hand away the most valuable part of the United Kingdom without first finding out who to and what my own future there would be. Yes? And although it might not, she might think, you know, it might not affect her directly, or maybe just for 10 years or something like that. Nevertheless, you know, that's all got to be sorted out. So all this nonsense that some of the dreamers have got, that, no, the Queen's don't get any part of Scotland, we'll get our independence and we'll decide. Not happening. Not happening. You know, so that's got to be sorted at some point, but it's to a certain extent a side issue, Kareem. You know, it's not a major issue. Well, it is a major issue, but the political side has to be sorted before we look at the apolitical side.
I've always mentioned to you that I think the monarchy, regardless, I'm looking at the bigger picture, and I know a lot of people like or for it, but I think in terms for bringing money into the country for the economy, tourism, I think the monarchy is going to play a key role. I really do think it really is so important.
Big picture, Kareem. Big picture. And you're a big thinker. You're a big picture thinker. And we need to get everybody else thinking like that. We need to build up the knowledge and understanding of what's actually going on here, because it's huge. And it's huge for Scotland. But Scotland, there's no way that Scotland is ever going to want to be run by right-wing governments from Westminster, you know, because it just doesn't suit the Scottish character, you know. And it never has. I mean, the union was forced through, as I say. Scotland was sold for 1,500 quid as bribes from the Queen at the time to the nobles who were short of money. And they just grabbed it with open hands and signed anything.
Yeah.
You know, they said, give us the money.
I know last Scotland voted Tory, and I might be wrong, but I read I think it was the 70s, I think it was the last time.
No, it was 1955, apparently. And that would be when Churchill was handing over to Anthony Eden, who would have done very well had it not been for Suez.
Okay.
I was very sorry about what happened to Anthony Eden, because he'd carried Churchill all the way through the war, and Churchill would not let go of power. And I think he was about 81 when they eventually got him out of Parliament. How many people work until 81, you know, apart from the monarch herself, you know? And that was it. And eventually he handed over to Anthony, who'd been waiting in the wings, who was a wonderful man, Anthony Eden, but had poor health. You know, I think Anthony, I can't remember what he had, if it was ulcers or whatever, but, you know, his health, I mean, had broken down a bit because of carrying Churchill throughout the war, who could not have been a more demanding individual of people's time. So poor Anthony was probably got up in the middle of the night all the time, you know.
Yeah, stress.
And Churchill, bless him, would have had a good refreshment in him a lot of the time.
Yes.
So he'd also be talking a fair bit of nonsense.
Yeah.
And he'd be barking out the orders, Kareem. He'd be shouting, "Get me the head of the Admiralty right now. Get me the First Lord of the Admiralty on the phone." And people would say,
Yes.
Winston's shouting down the phone. He said, "Stop listening to him." You know, that sort of idea. And they did. I mean, it was D-Day. Churchill didn't want D-Day, you know, and he wasn't in command at D-Day. Eisenhower was in command, you know. So that's the stuff. Yes, wonderful. I mean, and they just had to sort of humor Winston a bit when he barked orders at them, you know. And he tried to get the king. He tried to get the king to go across the water on the 6th of June, 1944. He said, "Why don't you and I go, Your Majesty? You and I will cross with the men and lead from the front," because he was that old kind of leading the charge. And the king thought, well, I'm a naval officer. I'll give it a go. But of course, as soon as he put it to advisors, he was vetoed. And he had to say, well, how can we stop Winston? And King said, I'll have a word with them. And he said, look, they won't let me go, and I don't think you should go either. You know, a 70-year-old going across and leading from the front, you know, and they'd probably have got shot up on the beaches, no matter how much they'd tried to protect them, you know. It would only have taken a bomb down the funnel of the boat, you know. That sort of idea from the German aircraft or something, you know. Crazy stuff. Oh, that's amazing. Once you start to dig into it, it's just incredible.
All the history, fantastic. Well, listen, Scotty, thank you for taking my call.
No, thank you for coming on, and I hope you have a lovely holiday.
Thank you. I'm back. I'm back up about lunchtime tomorrow. You're back on Monday night, at 8 o'clock.
Monday night, 8 o'clock sharp, Kareem, yes. And somebody was saying tonight we should keep this going after lockdown. So we'll have a chat and see what people think. But I need to start getting the figures up now, because we're coming up to around 70 broadcasts and 30 on Facebook Live. You know, I mean, I thoroughly enjoy them and appreciate them, and I love the way it's taken off. You know?
Yes.
I mean, I think that's fantastic. I love
it. Takes time.
Yes, it does take time. I mean, I think it could take another 10 years. I mean, you know, if I can see that in my lifetime, you know, it could take another 10 years of broadcasting on YouTube before people start to say, hang on a minute, I like this. You know, but see, they just don't know about it. And I don't have money, Kareem, to advertise in the newspapers or on the radio or something. I'm sure if we put an advert on commercial telly and said Scottie McClue's on YouTube at 8 o'clock every night, then, you know, people go, right, that's for me, you know. And then everybody would shake down, you see, that sort of thing. Because I know, and this is not arrogance, I just know in my heart of hearts that there's nothing on television or radio to beat what we've got here.
Oh, no. This is people orientated and people share their opinions. You don't get that anywhere else.
Or if there is, Kareem, I've never seen it or heard of it. You know what I mean?
So I know J-Dog wants to get through and he's probably just waiting to get off the phone.
No, absolutely. So I'll say Dinky-Doo, lovely talking to you.
I'll see you Monday.
Safe journey. Have a lovely holiday. Bye-bye, lad. Night-night, Kareem. Top man. There we are. That's our Kareem. On for a wee chit-chat. How would you rate the call? Superb. Is that fair enough? Can we rate the call superb? If J-Dog wants to Skype, we're in business. There we go. I'll wait for J-Dog. Right, what do we got here? Do your best, Craig. So funny. Wouldn't be the same without you. Scotty, have you kept in touch with the lovely Anna? She was poorly. Had a fall when you left Nation Radio. Hope she's well and fully recovered. No, but Linda had got in touch with me the other day. and has come on to the YouTube channel. So I said to her to tell Anna we're asking. It's been great as always, Scotty. Yes, thank you, Catherine. I heard Kareem on LBC getting all intellectual, says GM. Well, he's a great talker. He's very good. Clement Attlee had a bit of a problem with prescription drugs, says ACOS. Did he ACOS? No more jokes tonight. I thank you. Thank you, Tony. Kareem, a blast from the past, says GM. Karen, yes, way to go. GM Radio was great. Did you know Linda she found the stream? She was on. I hope the two Hamishes, Mr. Jax, David, and Anna come on. They will when they find us. No, that's good. I miss Linda's accordion playing. Hamish on the Mythe. Do you remember Angel GM? She was a friend of mine. When the Facebook had comments read out, we all loved Linda and Anna and loved their calls. Oh, and Hamish. Hamish is great. If Hamish would come on with his Mythe. Was that the woman that used to laugh all the time? No, GM. Anna has a lovely laugh, but I don't think that was her. Welly Song, lovely Welly Song, always a great show. There's YouTube podcasts that'll get Scotty on for an episode like the H3 podcast. Happy Saturday, everyone. And you, Welly Song. Happy things to you, Welly Song. You seem like a very lovely person. So many people funny how they get into your heart. Catherine, yes, of course. Who's the woman that used to come on and laugh non-stop? She hardly spoke. She just laughed. Oh, a wee soul that used to ring. Yes, I think she maybe had a light refreshment. Scotty had built up a nice wee community on Nation Radio, and it was destroyed. It's sad, really. I know it's not understanding talk radio. I think what the programmers would think was, we're running a hit radio station here. We're starting to do very well. Do we need an elderly guy shouting the odds for, 2 hours on a Friday, Saturday, and Sunday? No, we'll put on love songs. So there we go. And of course, well, you've just got to leave them to it. It's not my station. James Bond's on the telly. Go and see. Night, Scotty, another great entertaining and educational show. Think that was Michelle. Yes, Michelle. Well, that's right. Sounds familiar. I hope she's still laughing. There's a constitution, Scotty, for the UK, but not, as you say, a legally binding one. It's like a code of ethics for the UK. People defend the realm. Well, going back based on the Magna Carta, the Great Charter. Yes, she was so excited, Scotty was back in radio. Michelle was right in there. That was her. We don't have a written UK constitution. That's why we've got so many problems. Kareem should sing the goodbye song. You can't have a constitutional monarchy without having a constitution, can you? Correct. Declaration of Arbroath and the Magna Carta are acts of self-determination. Robert Scrimger, I adore your stuff. Fantastic. Let's be on. I'm going to be on your show. COVID-19 fighting an enemy you can't see. It's here. It ain't ever going away. Viruses don't die. They find another host to keep going. We have to learn not to help it. We don't have a written constitution, I assure you of that. GM, you're right. If we have a written constitution, can you direct it to where I can find it? We don't, GM. Totally agree, Alice, up on me. GM, I can't quote you chapter and verse of the Constitution, but if you go on Parliament website, there's a section on the UK's Constitution. No, we don't have one, Robert. That's a kind of cobbled together thing. So there you go. Just to keep the Scots at bay. Scotty should make Dinky-Doo face masks. We're talking about that. GM. Kareem should phone his own time. If we can't get on here, it's biased. It's not biased at all. Sub-Zero. What are you talking about? Kareem was fascinating there. A lot of people thoroughly enjoy that. GM, great idea. It'd be good if they had fun stuff on them. Individualized. Sub-Zero. Haven't you asked to Skype yet? Just ask. You feel stupid wearing face masks, but if it saves lives, well, do you feel? I don't feel stupid at all. I won't complete that. I like the mask. You can pull faces at people that cheek you. I'm not on the trusted list. No, you're not, Sub-Zero, but you might get on it. The mask can feel suffocating, yeah, but we're just wearing them while we're nipping to the shop. And then that's it. I tend to wear one when I'm on my own in the house, but that's to stop me eating. Joking. Have to dash. We're out of time. Right. Goodbye, everybody. Goodbye. Take care, everybody, as you go. Goodbye, everybody. Auf Wiedersehen, au revoir. And a cheery, oh. Good night, my darlings. It's been an absolute blast tonight. What a fabulous stream. Hey, Stubex is the wonderful Alistair Campbell and you, Alistair. Good night, Scotty Dinky-Doo. Night, all, Catherine. Night, Scotty Dinky-Doo. Night, Kareem. Fantastic. Catch you all. Nothing tomorrow, but Monday night, 8 o'clock sharp. Be there or be square, I say. Until then, this is Scottie McClue saying to every single one of you, take great care of your dear selves. Dinky-Doo and ta-ra, lads.